Rusty boy.
Netty boy.
Is this podcast unacceptable?
I believe it to be very acceptable personally.
Good.
I don't know how you feel, but
Good.
I like this podcast. I like our listeners. I even sometimes like my co-host.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
I
It
feel
depends
like
on the day.
I want to put the podcast, put it in my oven.
Put you in my oven? I can't. Well, welcome everybody. We've started on a little bit of a low note, but we are freaking the Never-Ending Adventure podcast. Yeah, we had to do some little references to the episode we're about to talk about. We'll get into You Made Me, which is our second appearance of the one, the only, the lemonous character of them all, the Lemongrab. Well, maybe the second most. It depends on which Lemongrab you're talking about.
Yep, we do have the introduction of second Lemongrab in this episode, which is a very important arc to the entire Lemongrab story, which I'm actually so excited to get into this episode. Again, I'm going back through it again, episode by episode, and the whole show, for me, being a longtime fan, it all blends together. And it does blow my mind that we don't get to kind of the extended Lemongrab story until episode 420, bro. Season 4,
so
episode 20.
He's just back again and again later on. That's kind of crazy.
Big time. I think this is possibly the episode where they really like solidify him as a canon character. And like they kind of forgot about him a little bit. Same with like Nepter in some of those episodes where they're like, oh yeah, we have this beautiful character we made, voiced by Justin Roiland.
Yeah.
Roiland. And I mean, like literally, if there's anything that like gets memed from this show, it's Lemongrab's voice. So
yeah,
it's amazing that we don't. Yeah,
I totally love Lemongrab, but I also don't like Lemongrab. I've determined. So it just depends on. I'm not going to say which one I'm talking about, but certainly there's a Lemongrab that I do and don't like.
Yeah, there's more episodes with the OG Lemongrab, and he is, I guess, like, I don't know if we can go Highlander. There can only be one, but that happens later on to a degree.
Really?
Kind of. To an extent.
I was so curious if that was going to happen because, and I don't fully understand the reference, but I will just say when we met Lemongrab 2, which is what I'll just refer him to or as from the rest of the podcast or for the rest of the podcast, if I can remember to, I didn't think it would work. I was like, there's no way Lemongrab 2 and Lemongrab are going to get along. Like their lemon ways, for whatever reason, just flowed together perfectly. It was real like a negative times a negative equals a positive sort of a situation.
Yeah.
And
that's what
when
they
they're like
frame
poking
it
each
as.
Other's faces, I was like, dude, they're going to freaking tear each other apart.
Well, you should have put that as your theoretically speaking, because like you're spot on kind of with them. And I'm not going to spoil any more, but there's more dynamic to the Castle Lemongrab with the entire Lemon citizens with their ruling together.
We get more. We get a lot more.
Oh yeah, that's kind of like we expand upon this because
is it all Justin Roiland voicing all of the Lemongrab characters or all the lemon characters?
I don't think so. I'll double check that for my fans. Feel free to fact check me if Lemon Hope is Justin Roiland's voice, but I don't think it is.
Okay, that's very interesting. Well, I liked it, man. I think the new Lemongrab 2, just seems a touch more reasonable. That's the only real difference I could discern between the two of them. And he wears white instead of wearing black and rides on a Pegasus, sort of a lemon creature. But otherwise, they're pretty spot on as like really the same character almost through and through.
Yeah, I mean, she made it. She went into the lemon pantry and made him. Now, it's just, I mean, I don't want to go immediately to my deep thoughts in this episode, but almost everything. Again, I think this is going to be a great episode because I don't think we're going to have to do a scene-by-scene breakdown. I've got a lot of deep thoughts on this episode as it pertains to like PB lore and Candy Kingdom lore, but I imagine that PB made Lemongrab 2 if she considered Lemongrab a mistake, which she openly said in that first episode, I don't think she would make Lemongrab number 2 in the exact same way. There's got to be some sort of like scientific, physiological difference of Lemongrab 2.
Yeah, I'm curious. I wonder if Lemongrab somehow reached his way into PB's heart when they're sitting there on the bench and Lemongrab is basically unable to kind of like bond with Crunchy, where she's like, "Oh, you just gotta give candy creatures like all the pets in the world and constant attention, and say little baby names or like baby noises to them." Which is crazy because obviously she's not doing that with all her kids. I mean, just look at the pup gang, for crying out loud. I'm sure she wasn't there giving them attention constantly, but she sees his lemon ways, and Pryor had said, like, I don't understand you, like, but maybe I can make you understand the Candy Citizens. And maybe she realized, like, especially when he says, like, who says your way is the right or is right anyway? I look into my lemon heart that you gave me and see my lemon way to act. And that might have convinced her, like, oh, we need to, like, I need to help him in a way that will be good for him and will solve this issue without causing more problems for Lemongrab himself.
I know, but that's you're peaking on the arc of where PB's like faults are, and like kind of what we even discussed is like, how can I force the world to see the world through my eyes? How can I force them to be more like me? And that's only caused like more trouble and more strife for PB. And it's shown here, like directly too.
Yeah, I think so. But I do think she actually makes what feels at the moment, being the person who's never seen this show before, it feels like a good move. It feels like, oh, okay, sweet. We found a way to deal with Lemongrab that is totally within Lemongrab's world with a character that like only a Lemongrab could understand a Lemongrab. And that's what PB realized.
Yeah.
And realized like, hey, you need more people like yourself.
Yeah, she's self-aware, I guess, of her own creation. So after last-ditch effort, it is something that works.
Yeah, it is. And she does things that are good and bad in this episode. I'm not going to sit here and praise on Princess Bubblegum for having a good solution.
You've shit on her way too much in past episodes to praise her in this one.
All right, maybe only positive things. Only positive things about Princess Bubblegum in this episode. I mean, I'm so glad that she has surveillance cameras in every freaking... sorry.
Oh, you're so glad.
That's negative sounding. And I'm so glad. I love that she put surveillance cameras in everyone's bedroom throughout all of the Candy Kingdom. I think that is a wonderful idea. And why are we
not doing that?
Why doesn't our government do that? Our president, whoever it is, at any moment in time should always be able to see what is happening in our living quarters and our bedrooms. Like that. That's so smart, Princess Bubblegum. You're the best.
Okay, Patriot Act Russell over here.
No quarter. Yeah.
All right, anti-Edward Snowden Russell over here.
Oh my gosh. No, I'm just, it's just a bit much. Come on, you gotta admit. Like, does she have cameras hidden in Finn and Jake's house? How did that not give them pause?
Yeah. Exactly. And that's like, I mean, I think maybe Finn's just like not at the maturity level yet. I think we do maybe get in later seasons where
he's smart enough, dude.
He starts to question her. No, he's still like a blind faith, like a little bit of I mean, you see it in this episode. He takes the bullet for her in this episode. And this is right post their qualms about Fire Prince or Flame Princess.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. I was going to talk about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and so it is very interesting to see how Finn drops down, takes the 12 units of electricity, busts out the window, takes the sound sword bullet for Princess Bubblegum. It's kind of interesting. I mean, I think he does see himself, romantically or not, his job is to be the full-on protector of the Candy Kingdom. And he takes that seriously. And I don't know. I mean, it's weird. You are right. It's weird. He does turn a blind eye to, holy shit, you are like filming people while they sleep. Like, very
it's
invasive.
A bit much. It's a bit much.
Now
honestly,
you're starting to everything that I told you first season, where we kick off the whole show about like Princess Bubblegum's a fascist, all that stuff. Now do you see like truly how this is like unraveling? Like, I make my people, I serve my people, control my people, I watch my people. It's across the board. It's creepy, man.
It is definitely creepy, and it's a lot. And I was resisting getting into it with. I mean, I wasn't going to get into it, let's be honest, just social media. But there was someone who was commenting basically, I told you about this yesterday.
Yeah.
Someone was just calling like my theory or like something that we said on the podcast. Of course, we took little clips out of context and put them on social media as some sort of a marketing, right? And someone was totally just calling me out for, oh, this is a dumb take. And I was just like I get it. Like Princess Bubblegum may not always be bad. And like, yeah, sure. She's not like, I don't see her as grooming Finn, as some people are like saying that, like go that far to say that she groomed Finn or something like that. I think it's just irresponsible how she acts sometimes. And I think this is a great example of her obviously stepping over the line and obviously going way too far with people that have like these aren't just pets, right? And she must see them a little bit as pets. If this is your dog and you have a camera at home so that you can see your dog when you're not home and you can feed it or whatever with a remote control, that's one thing. But for fully self-sufficient and aware, and it just reminds me of, sorry, I'm ranting, Ned. I do apologize.
No. This is all like, this is what this is all about. This is like supposed to be for your rant about this.
It totally reminds me of Princess Cupcake, right? Like he didn't even know that he could leave. He could just leave the Candy Kingdom, go out there and do his own thing. Princess Cookie. My bad. Yeah. I was thinking of Mr. Cupcake.
Yes.
Because he is an
Princess
interesting character.
Cookie, Mr. Cupcake.
Yeah, Mr. Cupcake's an interesting character this episode. But Princess Cookie totally could have gone off and left and done his own thing. And he was so unaware and incapable of doing that. And it has to be because of everything he knows, everything anyone in the Candy Kingdom knows other than a few select people is the Candy Kingdom, and is that this is your role. This is what you're doing. And it's not weird that Princess Bubblegum does all these things. It's totally normal. That's just how society works.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of indoctrination of Candy Kingdom vibe. And well, actually, because I've got so many like deeper thoughts to talk about, like more like real world stuff, that I feel like this is a good opening as it parallels to my theoretically speaking. And I don't have too many theoretically speakings about the show, but I had a really good one as it pertains to people like Princess Cookie and Peppermint Butler and the Banana Guards and Lemongrab, is that my theoretically speaking is that like actually the physical makeup of a candy person's structure can alter / determine their personality and their willpower and kind of who they are as a candy person. So if you think about it, Lemongrab's sour, Princess Bubblegum is sweet. That's the two antitheses. I'll get into that one later. That's a whole different topic I have. However, Banana Guards are bananas. They're a little bland. They're not as sweet. They're not really candy, but they serve a purpose. They give you potassium. So they're Banana Guards, right? I think that Princess Cookie might have had a little bit of dark chocolate chips that were a little bitter. So potentially the more sugar, the more sweet you actually can create a candy person, the more complacent / controllable they'll be. However, you've got Peppermint Butler. Again, peppermint's sweet, but it's got a little bite to it. Mintiness is a little aggressive. Peppermint Butler's a little aggressive. Like I said, Banana Guards are sweet, but bland and serve a purpose. So my kind of theory is like, there's a possibility of like the physicality of the sugar content in candy makeup, and or, sweet versus sour or tart or bland, that make your kind of personality as a candy person.
That's interesting.
So all the sweetest ones, you see the sweet ones, the cupcakes, the cookies, the cinnamon buns, the crunchies, the starchies are all the sweetest. And then when you kind of see the ruffians, a lot of them they look like sour candies. They look like gummies. They look like something that has a little bit more of a citric acid tartness to it. And so that's kind of my theory. I've never thought about that in the show, but I'm going to stick with it, I think.
Yeah, I like that. I think maybe personality, but not necessarily, or like how they act, but not necessarily the choices that they make. Because Princess Bubblegum, though being very sweet, isn't necessarily always a sweet person.
Yeah, exactly.
especially to
exactly.
her followers and all that. So no, I think that's a very interesting theory. I would definitely have to keep an eye out for that a little bit more as we go through. And while we're sitting here, I'm trying to think through the different characters I know and how that could be applied, like Cinnamon Bun. But of course, Cinnamon Bun being,
I mean,
what do you always call him?
soft, doughy, half baked.
Yeah, half baked is certainly comes out in his personality or how he talks. And I'm sure once he becomes baked, he'll be more fully formed and probably a more alpha character, if I just had to guess. But I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting theory, man.
Yeah, no. Well, I challenge the viewers to like counter my theoretically speaking, because like I know that there's candy people that I'm forgetting about. There's rattle balls. There's the like candy corn soldiers, pretty much, that don't necessarily fit that mold, probably. But like most everybody I thought about, again, Princess Cookie, I kind of was like, what if it's bittersweet chocolate that were his chocolate chips, and that's why he's bitter towards the Candy Kingdom? I was like, okay, this could kind of fit.
I like that. I wish I would think about that a little bit more, and maybe I will going forward. But we're
I'm planting
ourselves,
the seed. Bring it up in the next Candy Kingdom arc.
Yeah. Well, as we're introducing ourselves to new characters, or as the show is, like the Pup Gang, like I don't really see the candy people as candy anymore necessarily in my mind. I'm just kind of going past that, and I'm just like, oh, what is this character? What's happening to them? And all like the story of it all. I'm not like, oh gosh, like the Pup Gang is this, and this, and I don't think many people
are they Sour Patch Kids?
They're probably not, right? Like I can't even remember. I can't picture them in my head to say what candy they represent.
Yeah, they're just made out of candy per se.
Yeah, but I do know I love the way that, is it Jamaica or Tuffy? I can't remember which one. I think it's Jamaica is the one who's talking.
Yeah, Jamaica's the leader.
Yeah, Tuffy's Jamaica goes, that's Blumbo. I just love that moment. It's not my tops for the episode, but it was enough for me to go, okay, the Pup Gang, like they're my lovelies. They're definitely my lovelies of this episode. They're just out there to get that bag, and I don't blame them. I mean, they got the delinquent mothers. They gotta get the bag, dude. And Princess Bubblegum, like, I don't know. It sounds like she owes them or something. I don't know exactly what they did in their past. I would love to learn more about that. But it's so funny to me that Jake, it's like, you threw a basketball at me, and they're just like, yeah, but you're like old, man, so you deserved it. Like, it's totally cool. And they're great. They're my lovely, and Lemongrease definitely deserved to be called Lemongrease, especially after he freaking tried to recondition them. I didn't even do any research this episode into electric shock therapy or anything like that. I
didn't really want to go down that path either.
It could be an episode in and of itself, and I think there are many better podcasts that give you that if you're really interested in what he's doing and why it's immoral.
Type in Psycho Podcast.
Psycho Podcast.
Psycho Electrotherapy Podcast, and you'll maybe get a little bit of that.
Yeah, or I don't know, like I'm sure any sort of a psychology podcast would have experiments where they deal with electric shock therapy or electric shocks and stuff like that. I mean, there are several different experiments I can think of from back in high school and college, psychology and sociology. But regardless, again, not the podcast. I didn't spend the time refreshing about that, but it is an interesting concept. We don't need to get into that one tonight.
It's an interesting concept, but I thought the concept behind the Pup Gang was a great kind of, I don't know, like rehashing or like realizing again after we went to, we had the Apples episode where there was, I can't remember the name of the gang, the Ne'er-do-wells, but can't remember the name of the gang. It was Dr. J and somebody else.
Yeah, Dr. J.
That this is still an existing part of the Candy Kingdom, that the Pup Gang is probably the ones that are hanging out, or they're the young ones that end up, later on being the adults in the Candy Kingdom that go down to the Ne'er-do-well bar.
Yeah, they're the bad apples now that will later turn into the Ne'er-do-wells.
Exactly,
no doubt. But they're not afraid, man, and they got demands. That you better be meeting. They want total amnesty for their past crimes, which. Yeah, of course. This dude, he knows how to negotiate. He knows what his power is. And he's just like, I got this. And then the other thing is they want that big cash money wad.
Big cash money wad to take home to our delinquent mothers.
Yeah, hopefully their delinquent mothers, they'll show them some love like they always dreamed about.
It's
in
such
their
a
sad
small
young lives.
concept of this episode, but it is such a good one. Like
It's
it's just
so
so good to,
good.
and
Jake,
it's good that Princess Bubblegum realizes that like she has ne'er-do-wells. Like we've never really seen her acknowledge the fact that she knows that there are candy people that act up, especially after we realize that she's got cameras everywhere.
Dude, and Jake was so pissed about the basketball being thrown at his head. And then after he hears about their delinquent mothers and the fact that they've never been shown love in their sad young lives, he's just like, oh.
He goes,
Yeah.
He's like, that makes sense.
We had a moment where I paused it and I was just like, okay, the rest of this episode is going to go like totally like way off the rail. And we're just going to have an episode that's just going to make you fall in love with the pup gang. And it's going to be all about their sad backstory. And it wasn't at all. Like it totally was just about Lemongrab.
Put that on.
I was really hoping.
Put that on. Maybe if we ever Patreon, we'll do like little segments on like Russell and Ned's hypothetical episodes. And we'll just do a whole mini series about hypothetical. Because we've always talked, we're like, why isn't there a sub episode about like the creation of the notorious pup gang? And we could go for days on that, I feel like.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. Well, we definitely didn't do that. And we're not going to do that this episode, but I had to bring them up. They're my lovely, and they were such a delightful part of this episode. And I hate that they got freaking shocked by Lemongrab with juice, right? It's just juice that he's shocking them with.
Well,
which is kind of weird.
Everything in the Castle Lemongrab is very lemon oriented, regardless. So
very low pH or whatever that would be.
Yeah, high pH.
High pH, low pH. I think high pH is base. I don't know.
I can't remember. I don't know. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've been in AP chemistry.
Come on, it's not this podcast. That's a different podcast.
Come on, man. Well, on that note, before we take a break, my lovely's a little bit boring of this episode, but it's baby. It's whatever Baby Crunchy is. But like when she takes him and it's like, I'm gonna give you snuggles, boo 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 boo. That Baby Crunchy's got to be my lovely. I don't know.
Is it a baby? Is it just crunchy?
It's not
crunchy.
I don't think it's just crunchy because like that I thought it was a little bit smaller than crunchy typically is, and it was kind of baby-ish. So I don't think I couldn't tell, but if it is crunchy, then crunchy gets my lovely of the episode just for that little scene. But it's boring. I have no other reason besides total cuteness.
I don't think that's too boring, man. I mean, my tops of this episode, though, now that I'm thinking about it, really should have just been the pup gang because I'm I'm kind of in love with the pup gang right now. I kind of want to join the pup gang.
Okay, well, what tops did you write down though?
My tops is the aura visualizer and that whole moment where we find out that Crunchy, he's got that rainbow aura, the aura essence or whatever. And we looked up different meanings for colors of aura. Yeah. You did too.
You did colors of aura. I did a whole different lookup thing. So we went two different directions on the aura visualizer.
Cool. Well, I'll just talk real fast about the different colors, right? So a rainbow aura can mean, according to mindandbody.com, not a sponsor.
You went Mindbody Online? No, that's bold.
Mindandbody.com. Yeah, that is a little bold. Yeah. Not mybody.com. I don't know what that would pull up.
Mindbody is out. No, that's a workout app. And I thought they were actually doing a workout app with like color auras.
Oh, no, I don't think so. Not this one, at least. Anyways, Crunchy Rainbow means energetic, busy, and confident. And then me and Allie sat there for a moment and we're like, what's Ned's aura? If you could use a aura visualizer. And we thought of orange green. So like kind of orange. That. It's orange, but with like kind of greeny outlines. And we looked that up. That means creative, positive, which is the orange. And then green is loving, compassionate.
Okay.
And of course, I asked Allie, what is mine? She says orangey purple, which is creative, positive, of course. And then intuitive and empathetic. And I was like, oh man, I'll take that. That's pretty dope.
I don't think I would give you, I'd give you red over orange.
Red? Ooh, because of the dogs?
Well, no, because you're like big red. You're like rusty red.
Rusty red. Okay, like, I'll take that.
but I don't know. I'm trying to think of, I don't know. I didn't necessarily visualize colors and auras.
Up, y'all?
So.
What's up, y'all?
Big Rusty Red.
My name's Big Red, and I'm your co-host of this podcast.
I think as you get older, Big Red should be.
Big
I know that
Red.
was what your granddad was. Big Red.
My great grandfather was Granddaddy Red.
Granddaddy Red. If I could embody a name like that, I'd own that for the rest of my life.
Oh man!
Everybody at your work, you're going to be like, no longer am I Russell or Rusty T, or I'm Big Red.
Yeah, there was definitely a part of me that always wanted to be Red one day, but my youngest cousin, first cousin, named his son that he just had Red, and I'm like, that takes it. I can't do that now. Like that is Red.
That means you're Big Red. He's Little Red. Fuck him.
Well, he was Red before I was Red, and I'm not even Red yet, so I don't think it's going to be right. Like anyway, this is a stupid conversation.
We don't tangent. We don't tangent. I thought about the oral visualizer as a whole different concept, because I was just like, I saw that and I was like, vibes. What is vibes? Because I've always heard people always talk about your numbers in the universe and the vibrations you put off, and like, what is your vibe? What's your aura per se? And I went to neurologylive.com, and they had not a study, but a blog post, a paper, whatever, put out. It's nothing legitimate about like the science of vibes, and that vibes can be that there is the science of this phenomenon is the study of emotional residue, which explores whether an environment inherently contains leftover evidence of previous emotions. Interesting research suggests that the nervous system can pick up on chemical signals in a physical space that may ultimately have something to do with the feeling of good or bad vibes. So I think that there is a weird thing about, like when you walk in somewhere and you're like, I get bad vibes from this place. Like I've had it happen a few times in my life, but like, yeah, you can kind of pick up on those. And so I thought the aura visualizer was more of like a vibe. Like you can see the vibration vibe. Yeah.
In my opinion, with the colors, that's how it's illustrated. That's how it's showed, is through colors. It's through colors. Whatever your vibe is, and that's why the colors mean different things, right? So if we had gotten freaking Pep Butt, which we almost did, to do the aura visualizer, it would have been like
his would have been midnight black
or whatever,
midnight black and red.
Yeah, so which is why the colors have the meanings, right? And it would mean other things. Like you would get that evil essence off of that, or some sort of a
he did not want them to see his essence.
Oh no. He's like, we're good. Let's keep going.
It would have been that, or it would have been some sort of like neo-physical color that doesn't exist. And because he's been like, oh yeah, I picked up my vibes from the dark universe where there's colors that don't exist in your universe.
That was such an interesting intro to this episode. It went nowhere. I really was like, oh, where are we going with this?
Yeah, you thought we were going to go towards Pep Butt evil aura visualizer.
I don't know. I was excited. I was like, that's a cool idea for an episode. And then they just stopped. They just threw it out the window. And after the commercial break, I'll come back and I'll give you my theoretically speaking.
Yes,
has to do with the aura visualizer.
Okay. Give me that one. And then I think we need to spend the rest of the episode after that getting into Lemongrab. We have not broken down this psyche because there's a lot of meat. There's a lot of lemon meat under this one.
Yeah, sounds good.
Attention, citizens of the Candy Kingdom. The Banana Guards have given us an urgent and public service announcement. Brace yourselves, for the Candy Kingdom is under attack from the mischievous and notorious Pup Gang. Picture this, fluffy pups of mischief, armed with cuteness and a penchant for mayhem, skipping through the streets, leaving chaos in their wake. Yes, we know it sounds adorable, but trust us, their adorability levels are off the charts, and that's where the danger lies. These cunning little rascals have been up to no good, pulling pranks and causing wacky shenanigans throughout the kingdom. From catapulting cream pies into the faces of unsuspecting peppermint citizens to replacing all bubblegum dispensers with bubble-burping soda fountains, their mischief knows no bounds. We implore you, dear candy citizens, to take immediate action to protect yourselves from the Pup Gang's antics. Stay inside, lock your doors, and seal your windows with an extra dab of frosting. The Pup Gang is known for their affinity for cruel and unusual. For your safety and amusement, we have equipped all citizens with advanced video monitors, lovingly shaped like oversized lollipops. Keep a keen eye on these magical confectionery devices, as they will alert you of when the Pup Gang is nearby. In case of direct encounter with the Pup Gang, please remain calm and remember a few simple rules of thumb. Never attempt to outcute them, as they possess unparalleled levels of adorability. And don't be fooled by their tiny stature. These rascals possess the stealth of a candy-coated ninja. Rest assured, our vigilant banana guards are on the case, doing their best to catch the pup gang and return them to the rightful paws of justice. Until then, let's unite and protect our sweet and sugary kingdom. Remember, laughter is the best medicine, but a well-locked door is the best defense against the notorious pup gang's escapades. Banana guards, signing off, with a sprinkle of sweetness and a dollop of chocolate. Stay vigilant, Candy Kingdom heroes.
I just want to do the voice we were just doing. It's so funny.
We were taking a break and doing the Knights Who Say Knee on our break here because
I am Lemongrab. I am Lemongrease, and I say knee, and I require a shrubbery.
And I require a shrubbery. If we have any young fans out there who have not seen Monty, I imagine, I don't know why affiliate Adventure Time fans with being like, oh, of course you've seen Monty Python, but
they have to.
Just go watch it.
I bet everybody has. Yeah.
I don't know. It's not my recommendation of the week whatsoever.
No, it's not mine either.
But just go watch it.
Yeah, definitely. Now, what is your recommendation of the week? You could do that real fast.
I think my recommendation of this week is gonna have to. It's gonna sound so basic. It's gonna be terrible. Like we just picked back up Succession. We tried like an episode, it's a great show. It's fun. It's very businessy. I feel like my wife and I are both involved with like nothing of the level of like Wall Street crazy, hedge fund people, but the show is very well written. We're very, very much enjoying it. So I'm going to leave it at that because there's probably 7 people in your life that are just like jerking themselves off to the show. So I don't want to be that guy. It's good.
Oh man, showing your age, I think a little bit, Ned. I don't know.
Probably a little. Yeah, it's not a cartoon. Yeah, it's not the youth. I can think of a better youth's recommendation, but not this week. I had a very adult week. I've spent way too much money fixing air conditions and
for sure.
Car broke down this week, and we had to get a new air conditioning unit. So I'm being very stupidly adult this week.
Hey, we all got to do it sometime. I was looking through my finances. I hate it. I just wish they took care of themselves, but it doesn't. Regardless, you have to make decisions and you have to choose things.
It's not fun. It's not fun, but that's why we watch Adventure Time. That's literally why we do it. It helps us. I've listened. I mean, we just had a great person write in this week that was just like said that their Adventure Time was their comfort show. It's like their third time through, and they're loving watching it. They're loving seeing Russell's perspective. They're only on episode like 60 right now, and so I was just like, oh my gosh, this is why we do this. This is everybody's comfort zone. This is a safe place to be. I just rewatched the BMO Distant Lands episodes for the fans that are on Distant Lands. It's so good. It's just like, and it's just, gosh, like BMO is so wholesome and the show is so wholesome. That's why we do this.
Yeah, I agree.
But I wanted to get back into, I know that you were continuing talking about the Aura Visualizer and you had a theoretically speaking about it too.
I do. Yeah, I can do that real fast. So as we're looking at this Aura Visualizer, I'm like, this could be really important for some reason, but why would Princess Bubblegum waste so much time and resources to build something that has no obvious inherent value to her or the Candy people? And as we were sitting there and we're thinking about this, my mind went back to the Goliad episode, season 3, episode 10. Princess Bubblegum's flaws were amplified by her clone, or in her clone, the Sphinx, which is Goliad, and as are Finn's selflessness and his heroism. After realizing in Burning Low, which we recently reviewed and talked about, season 4, episode 16, that Finn won't be her hero forever, I think that Princess Bubblegum created the Aura Visualizer as a preliminary experiment in an attempt to better understand and extract what it is that they're each made of, or what it is that Finn makes him so heroic, what made Stormo so heroic and brave and able to sacrifice himself for the good of the Candy Kingdom for future cloning use. I think it's all about, like, she will use this in the future to more accurately be able to clone things and produce what it is that she's trying to produce. And again, as someone who's never seen the show, that's my theoretically speaking of the week.
Interesting. No, that's a good one. I would have almost had it been mine, and because I thought this is where I thought you were going for a second here, is that she's doing it in order to be like, I don't want to waste my time trying to create relationships with people. I just want to like view their aura, and I will determine whether or not I want to be friends with them, or have them be my new knight of the Candy Kingdom. That she can try to figure people out without actually having to develop relationships that are potentially harmful, aka Marceline.
Yeah, no, I think that's really interesting. I totally took it as like how can she utilize this to better serve her people, and or oh my gosh, Finn's not going to be around forever. Finn's going to go like date somebody and be someone else's hero for a bit. I need a replacement Finn. And what is it that made Stormo so great? How can I extract that from people? Because we see the Aurora Visualizer extract
because it does
colors into the real world.
It puts it in the physical universe. So
she could use that as an ingredient or something.
Yeah, she's got some sort of vial where she can collect the aura. Gosh, dark.
Yeah,
getting dark with her, man.
Well, I mean, I think her intentions would probably be good if I had to assume. Also, I mean, because I'm all about Princess Bubblegum in this episode, her intentions would be great. She would be doing it for the good of all of Candykind.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. Oh, I don't know, man. I feel like at least in this episode, we see some good come out of Princess Bubblegum. She really wants Lemongrab to be happy. I think in the first Lemongrab episode that we really saw her more like push him away and call him a mistake. And maybe this is the first time we've really seen her try to like make amends for what she knows she created as at least a troublesome situation, bare minimum. And it just brings into like, and this is just getting into the deep arc of the episode. So just prepare yourself, because Lemongrab in this episode becomes so much more three-dimensional than you could ever expect him to be. It starts off with him in the room, and she catches him in the act, just like staring on her candy people. She's trying to rip him. She's like, "You're being freaking creepy, dude." And he immediately jumps to, "I'm the Earl of Nothing. You've given me nothing. I'm alone." And I think PB's initial thought was, dude, you're so opposite of everybody else. I thought you wanted to be alone. I thought you didn't want any company because you don't act like it. And it's not the case. Is that he still has this innate sense in himself to really, really desire companionship and desire someone to understand him. And I think that's incredible. That's an incredible way to build a three-dimensional character, is to build it as the most obnoxious being in the universe that could exist, that still desires someone to understand the way he operates. And that's, I think, such a deep concept. And it really cuts deep to, again, my theory, what I said at the beginning is of her opposite is I think that she created him, right, to be her antithesis. She creates these sweet candy people. They follow her. They do whatever. And she was like, I need someone to be a true companion. And as she's creating companions, as she's creating all these candy people, they're just kind of subservient to her. So I think that she created Lemongrab, quote unquote, her one mistake she ever made. Do you see any other candy people that have the same likeness as her? Like, no. Do you see any like same stature, same likeness, same like arm length, leg length? I think she created him to be an equal to her, to help potentially either balance her out, the sour and the sweet of my mentality that I was talking about earlier, but that she like went so over the top that she didn't realize that he'd challenge everything. He would challenge everything that she ever put in front of him, aka sweet little crunchy.
Yeah, no, that's crazy, dude. I mean, maybe so. Maybe that is her intentions. Or when we see Lemongrab at first, it seems as though he's just a experiment gone wrong. Like, oh, I could make people, but I'm not fully great at doing it. But maybe her intention was, oh, I should create my opposite to like mellow out my bubblegumness in some sort of a way. Yeah, I think that's a really cool thought.
There's a mellow out aspect of it too, but there's also, I mean, our fans know, like, we're religious guys too. Like, in the concept of God creating man, right? And this is from a Christianity perspective. So again, send us notes on and other perspectives that you have too. But God created man because desiring a relationship is to desire a relationship with someone who has the choice to not love you if they choose, and that they choose to love you. That's what the relationship is. And that's why, we have like dating relationships out there. That person, like a person to love you is really, really important when they have the choice not to. If you could just create something like, okay, dogs' loves are great, but they don't really have much of a choice because they die if they don't love you.
That is,
It's
dude,
really
that's so
great.
fascinating that you're bringing in, even just from a creator and creation standpoint
Hmm.
of, because Lemongrab literally says, I'm alone. You made me like this. You made me. You're my glob, as he's
Hmm.
running away and tearing his shirt off, right? And that moment had to speak to Princess Bubblegum in order for the rest of the events of this episode to play, the words to
To
play
play
out as
out.
they
Yeah.
did. But I really do think that, when we're thinking of it from our standpoint, you go, all right, we're created. And again, from a Christian perspective or whatever, right? The relationship with the creator is one of love, or, you try and be that way, or, and now in a modern text, that's
It's,
how it is. But it's
yeah,
just
it's,
weird to think of it from the standpoint of Princess Bubblegum being the creator and being a physical being that's there with the
mhm.
creation and constantly interacting. And how does that not create a weird power dynamic? And how does that not create weird emotions?
Yeah.
And they
And it
know
absolutely should
so
and absolutely
physically that,
does.
yeah, and they know so physically, like, you are my creator, you are the reason I am here, versus like from our perspective, it's like there's a level of faith that you just have to have for the relationship with the creation or the creator, from our perspective, right? So
Yeah. But
that's not
I,
there with the lemon people. That's not, or the lemon people. That's not there for the candy people and lemon grab. They
yeah,
know their creator. Their creator is there, and they can blame their creator for what happened to them and how they feel very literally, and go up to the face of that
the
person and
creator.
say,
And
"Hey, you're messing
yeah.
up all over the place. You're
Well,
messing up."
yeah. And the candy people can do it in a way that they see it more as like, you're flawed. You're not perfect. Lemongrab can do it in the way that you created me. And you're constantly trying to tell me, here's how you should be. Here's how you should treat candy people. Here's how you should behave. And Lemongrab's just going like, legitimately, you did not create me in the way that you want me to act. Why the hell would you do that? And that's what I think opens up this complexity with Lemongrab and the rest of his storyline through the show, is that he's dealing with standing face to face with his God,
Yeah,
and
the
and
lemon
saying,
heart that his God gave him.
and his God looking at him going, you're imperfect. You need to just go off and rule your own kingdom. And him being alone, and then being like, he's like, I want to have community, and I want to have community in the way that you made me, but like, why did you make me this way? And I think, I mean, in the whole world scope of that, it's a lot of how people, like, why would God make this the world full of pain and death if he's like, oh yeah, I'm perfect. Like, I desire no pain and death, and I desire no, you don't, you have the desire to steal, you have the desire to do bad things. Like, that's bad. Don't do that. But then you're like, why did you create me that way? And it's a big concept of, I think, humanity in general. And it's a lot of, I think, why people wrestle with any sort of God complex, not their own God complex, but the God, like a God theory, is that they're like, what? It just doesn't make sense. So
Yeah,
it
that's
just
interesting.
makes, I don't want to get too much deeper into that concept, because
No,
then
yeah,
it's going to start just going into like what everybody's religious beliefs is. But it makes Lemongrab so three-dimensional and
yeah,
so much more relatable to us as a viewer, honestly.
yeah. It's interesting from a creator creation standpoint for sure.
Oh yeah.
And we were
So
talking a little
thank you
bit
for letting
about,
me, thank you for coming to my TED talk here.
yeah, yeah, seriously. No, but we were thinking a little bit about AI, right? And all the creations that we're going to be having or
Yeah.
creating probably through AI. At some point, you'll have an AI pet, and it'll act just like a real pet or whatever, and it'll have all of the emotions and feelings, and like, is it sentient? That sort of a thing will
Yeah.
start to be questions that we have, I would assume, within the next 30 years. And then at what point do we become the Princess Bubblegum to those AI
To
pets?
the AI, yeah.
Like, that's crazy, right? Because you're just going to put it down, right? Like, leave your computer. We're not the best people ever. We're not going to be like, oh, this thing has to feed, or I have to feed it physically, or it will physically die. It's going to be fine. But then you're going to you're going to leave this AI pet online and totally ignored and living there and sentient. I mean, it's a really weird, that's a whole different tangent. And I don't know all of what I believe of that, but it is a crazy concept.
And no, it's a concept that's great to bring up, though, because it fits within this whole like creator, like, I created you for a purpose and I wanted you to act this way. And they're like, well, you made me sentient and to have my own free will. And that's not the free will that I've constructed for myself. So, like, what are you going to do about it? And at the beginning, Princess Bubblegum, and thankfully, I think as of now, she has redeemed herself. She's redeemed herself in the sense that she had this mistake. Her first initial reaction was send him off, get him out of here. You have your own kingdom now, which obviously has caused some problems. Second Lemongrab will cause some problems, but in the meantime, it's kind of like, okay, you've created him a companion, which is, and it's really what he desired, just for somebody to understand who he was, and I don't know, just live, just be able to coexist with somebody who's not constantly telling you you're wrong.
And what is his lemon way, Ned? Do you know? I mean, it seems like he's just like a little opposite boy. Like his I was gonna say his Nindo, like the ninja way, the lemon Nindo,
the lemon Nindo.
That's a tongue twister.
Lemon Nintendo.
Yeah. What is his Nindo? What's his lemon ninja way?
I think his lemon Nindo way is that everything that could possibly annoy or perturb you would comfort you.
Mm-hmm.
So the screams, the poking, like when they start poking each other, like that would annoy the shit out of anybody. But they're like doing it as like, instead of hugging, they're just like poking each other, you know?
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. So
it's
at the end of this, they definitely say the like a lemon gives by taking and cares by yelling, which is, as you're saying, kind of the opposite of what you would see, what would be the case for everybody else in the world.
And that's why they make him a lemon too. Again, if Candy is the sweet and the cuddly and the goo goo, Lemon is the sour. So their normal is opposite of sweet, which is gives by taking and cares by yelling. So,
but call first if you're going to come.
Call first.
Make sure you call first. I love that little addition by Lemongrease too. Pretty great.
Yes. Well, we'll have because we've broken this one down to such a good degree, the next review of the next, like, I keep saying Lemon Kingdom, Castle Lemongrab, because it is not a kingdom. He is a earl. It is a subsidiary of the Candy Kingdom. And I do love that. I do love he never tries to take over and be like, I'm Lemon King or anything. He kind of knows that, like, he just wants to be the earl of his own kingdom. That resides within the Candy. He did try and
take over last time. I mean, he already did that, right?
He did. And it was, because at that time, he was a Candy citizen. And that's why, even at the beginning of this episode, he was watching the Candy people. And he says, it's well within my rights. And she goes, I know. Because he's a Candy citizen. What does that mean, though? He's a Candy, at this point.
But his right to surveil, like, just like she's going and filming everybody's bedrooms, like, is his right because he is the Earl of Lemongrab, like royalty.
Yeah,
his right is to look over people as they sleep. That's crazy.
He ranks higher than other Candy people. If we're looking at it from
you can't watch someone while they sleep.
It's also a fascist reigned government, so possibly so. It's kind of like the weird, like, Nazi security guards being like, hey, the security guards have just as much right to watch over you while you sleep. I don't know. Sorry for saying Nazi on the podcast.
Jeez, I think we're gonna get canceled for that one, Ned.
It gets kind of creepy with
those are the people that you're truly, the only people you're allowed to truly yuck the ums of are those people.
Hey, I can say, spoiler drop here.
What?
Princess Bubblegum,
Ned, what?
Princess Bubblegum commits genocide in like season 7. Not like
that's pretty huge if that's
you
true.
learn about her committing a genocide, like, of her own people.
Okay, well,
I swear to God.
I was like, where the heck is Ned going to go with a spoiler drop after that conversation? That's crazy.
Yeah.
There's no way, dude.
Yes. No, I'm talking, dude, my fans out there, it's Rattleballs. Rattleballs is a genocide for sure.
You're just being dramatic. We like Princess Bubblegum. Remember, that's my whole thing this episode. Princess Bubblegum's the best.
Guys. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're seeing her in her kingdom as she's mellowed out. When we start getting flashbacks of a lot of stuff, like, dude, she was even worse in the past, like way worse than she is now.
Well, feel free to write into the Traveler's Log, as you know, nea.travelerslog@gmail.com with your thoughts and your opinions on that crazy spoiler drop that Ned just threw at me out of nowhere. I would love to hear what everybody thinks and if they have the same perspective of him on that, because that seems a little wild. She's pretty awesome, Ned. I'm telling you.
Oh, now you're on her side.
I love that Princess Bubblegum watches people when they sleep, and that's her yum. I love that about her.
Russell's going to yuck that yum all day.
You know what else is kind of yummy and totally not yucky at all? Here's my little bit of trivia for you, Ned.
Okay, hit me with the trivia.
Yeah, a little bit of trivia. So Jake is shown to be able to move things through his body freely, right? And this is Princess Bubblegum's apparent, like, preferred way of mounting him is to go through his mouth.
I didn't like that whatsoever. I didn't like that at all.
No, I think it really makes a whole lot of sense. And I think I'm super glad that she did that. She is amazing. That is the best way to mount Jake, truly.
Okay. I disagree, because I think that it feels oddly sexual. I don't know why, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, I loved it. And it doesn't hurt me at all to say that. Well, that was my bit of trivia for this episode. I hope y'all enjoyed that.
I have not a trivia, but a possible Nettie's factoid that was my favorite one of the episode that I'd never picked up on while watching this episode.
Maybe I caught it. I might have caught it.
Yeah, catch it.
Okay, so when they're in the surveillance room, the security room, and they're looking at the tapes, there is a moment where they see Mr. Cupcake, and he already has a broken arm before... and then it cuts off, right? And then he goes and you see him again in public, and then he breaks his arm when they're like, hey, do you want to go? So that had to be an error, right?
I think that's an error. I don't know if that's a factoid.
Well, here's our headcanon, our personal house canon, is that he actually broke his arm in the past, and it was really embarrassing, and he doesn't want to tell anybody how it happened, so he was pretending like it was fine.
So and then
when she asked him, he's just like, nope, my arm's broken. No. Isn't that manly how I broke it? That's our house canon about that.
I do like a fun house canon on that one. Maybe after even 105 episodes, we now have a new segment called House Canon, where we make our own Adventure Time canon, because we've already been doing that for most of the show.
Plausible, right? Like, his arm was bandaged up when he was sleeping in that scene. I mean, go check it out. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that can live separately than theoretically speaking can be disproved or not proved. And house canon is just going to be what we deem as true.
Yeah, doesn't matter to the storyline in any way. It will never come back up, but that's the house canon. Yeah,
exactly. I like that house canon. But I've got two fun factoids that I didn't pick up. Is that one, the I'm going to save the best one for last, but the first one is that they do have the Banana Guards in their video surveillance room have a picture of Scorcher and a wanted sign under his face in the background, which is hilarious.
Got to be on the lookout.
Yes. Watching out for Scorcher. He has apparently murdered other people in the Candy Kingdom. So other people are on hitman.com or whatever Ice King goes to in that episode. But my favorite one of the episode is about Lemongrab's sword. And I'd always just thought they made because he's an opposite. So I was like, okay, normal swords are tipped for stabbing, and his sword is like dipped in and has like a U shape on the front. And I was like, oh, it's just because he's opposite. That's all what I've always thought. His sound sword is a tuning fork. And I
was wondering, yeah.
Yes, the sound comes from his screams, and it resonates off the tuning fork to create like a super hyper powered beam.
Wow.
So every time he uses it, he's doing his like Lemongrab scream.
And it's
and that's what gives it the power.
Yeah, truly unique to him. Like someone else couldn't do that, or at least not the same way that he does. Wow. That's dope. So that's really cool.
That was far and away my favorite like factoid of the episode, is that he has a tuning fork sword powered by Justin Roiland's scream.
That's awesome.
Which is very powerful.
Yeah, seriously. I don't know how the frick that dude is able to. Again, I'm not like promoting Justin Roiland.
I know he's canceled for now.
Guy. Yeah. He's not a great guy, but what I'll say is it's insane that he's able to, like, the endurance of his
He's
vocal
a talented
cords.
person. He's a very talented person. Well, that's a good way to phrase it.
Doesn't even matter, but it's just nuts that his vocal cords last like that. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
Well, dude, that's dope. I've actually, unless you have anything else about this episode, there's a little traveler's log we could do real fast.
Let's hit our lessons, and then we'll go to traveler's logs, because I want to know, did you have any like good lessons you learned from this episode?
Oh, I had the best lessons, Ned, but I have to find them on my notes. There it is. I think it's great when you find your people that understand you and know all, or like they mesh well, they flow well with all of your lemon ways, and that's very important. I was thinking when I wrote that as my lesson that there have been people in my life that were good people and people loved those people, but I just didn't mesh with them. I just didn't get along.
I feel that. I feel that so hard.
Like sometimes I just thought, sometimes they think I'm annoying, and other times I think they're annoying. And it's just like our wavelengths aren't resonating in a good way. And it's interesting how that is. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad people.
You and a ruffian bearded man I used to live with vibed that way. Y'all were both good people, vibes. But I don't think either of y'all liked each other whatsoever.
No, but I don't know. We're not going to go into that.
We won't go into that. I'm not name dropping, but I know what you're talking about.
Here's what I'll say, bro. Like, it takes a lot for me to be annoyed by people or to not like someone. So
yeah,
regardless, moving on.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
My other lesson is check your room for surveillance cameras. That's the other lesson I got from this episode.
Yeah. Go every Airbnb. You do all the tests.
Actually do that. Yeah. Actually
check
do
the
that.
remote. Check the showers. Yeah. It's creepy. It's creepy out there. Stay safe. My lessons, in this episode, is with every PB episode, don't play God. Just it's not going to end well. Like, and I think that we kind of see that. Like, we're seeing the repercussions of PB's God, like playing godness, coming back to bite her. So that's my first lesson. My second lesson is actually very similar to yours. But I phrased it in a way, it's okay to not understand everybody. And it's okay to not be understood by everybody.
Yeah.
And that like individuality, except for when it's a detriment to others, is crucial for everyone. You want to see your life, your experience, etc., through your own eyes, and that should not be looked down on or degraded by anybody. And that's Lemongrab, man, in this episode. And I feel like that's so many people's individual experiences. You want to tell people about those experiences. You want to be like, understand me, and they won't. And that's okay. Like, and I think Lemongrab ends up being okay with not being fully understood by the end of this episode. But he does find community. So if I am going to tack a third one, an unwritten one here on my lessons, is find community. Find community of like-minded people that understand you, but don't necessarily understand you to the point of being subservient little candy people.
Yeah, and I will say, I do apologize. I was being a little defensive, and that does go against my lesson, I will say. So maybe I haven't truly learned this lesson yet. He is a good guy. You got to heed
your own lessons.
He's a good guy, and but we just didn't mesh, man.
Oh no, I think it's hilarious. I watched you and him vibe back in the day, and I was like, "Yep, nope, this is not a good mesh." And it's okay. I
wasn't the only one. But I wasn't the only one. I'm being defensive again. I'm being defensive again.
No. Trust me, my wife. Same ordeal. But that's okay.
Anyway,
it's okay to not
matter. Yeah.
Be an individual. Be yourself. Do everything in life that you want to do that can make you an individual that you see is going to like bear your fruit in this world. And don't let anybody say, oh, that's against how I think. And don't like change your ways because of that. Let's just like be an individual.
Yeah,
Again,
I agree.
My only disclaimer is except when it's a detriment to other people. That's the only thing. You can't be an individual and be like, well, I think it's okay to like set fire to people's houses. That's bad. Don't do that.
That's bad.
That's bad.
Thank you so much for joining us. Let's do a real quick Traveler's Log. We had Hannah. Hannah chimed in all the way from Australia, if you can believe that. There's people outside of America that listen to this podcast, Ned. And
crikey, mate, you listen to this podcast?
It's another situation where, well, Ned, do we need to address what you just did?
Yeah, I went British. We talked about this in our break. I immediately went Australian, and then I went British.
Your British accent's so bad, and that's the problem with what you just did.
It's only bad when I'm trying to do a different accent, and I accidentally go British. My British accent's bad.
Yeah.
I go Cockney all day. It sounds wonderful.
Hannah doesn't sound anything like that. I just want to say her voice is way more lovely.
Hannah, you are a lovely human being. It's wonderful.
I'm sure, yeah. Well, Hannah's not a podcast person, but absolutely loves what we've created. And the first sentence, of course, is all about us. But it's
just wonderful. You're just touting us up over here.
It's so friendly and simple, and yes, simple-minded. We're very smart guys, but also so critical, complex, and incredible. And I finally caught up on all the episodes after binging through all of them. But as Hannah is in Australia, Hannah goes on to say that I've been rewatching Adventure Time for maybe the 6th time on binge, which I think is the Australian equivalent of HBO. And I'm only just becoming aware that there's massive censorship that we've got. So apparently entire episodes just don't exist, like the Finn's Hero Billy episode and the Meow Assassin episode. It's insane. Didn't realize until listening to the podcast that I've missed on so much. And for such massive end of season, start of season episodes where an injury occurs on a major character, all I see is a shitty zoomed in cutout of what's going on. Luckily, I may or may not have illegally watched these episodes before, so I know what's going on. But it's just so crazy that a kid's show has so much censorship. Surely at this point, you just, surely at this point, you are just upping the rating and adding a disclaimer. But yeah, I think that's crazy. I can't believe that in Australia there's censorship like that. I mean, I know One Piece, y'all should all watch it. When it was on WB, the censorship is nuts. And Pokemon even has some censorship where they left out, probably for good reasons. There's 2 episodes of Pokemon that were left out for pretty solid reasons. But the WB version of One Piece is pretty whack, pretty ridiculous. An amazing intro song, but regardless,
it is funny though. Like you can see why like some animes get, possibly like censored because of violence or blood or sexual. And like, dude, this is Adventure Time. This is Cartoon Network. And absolutely, we've mentioned that in several episodes of like this episode wasn't aired in Australia. Like when we get really deep into factoids. So now like Hannah, like even for you, I'm going to start looking for that because it's been several episodes where they were like, they aired the title card differently in this country. They didn't air this episode in China because it was something. They didn't air it in Australia because of violence aspect or like the fact of assassination or something like that. And so we'll keep an eye out for that because we want the fans to know, like, if you're in those areas, you're missing out.
Especially for good episodes. I mean, there's some goodies out there. Like the Billy Hero episode is a good episode. I like that one.
The fact that Hannah went like not seeing the Meow episode for her first 2 times watching through, that's crazy.
Sure. Yeah, pretty nuts. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Hannah, for writing in. If y'all want to get on the Traveler's Log, you can reach us at nea.travelerslog@gmail.com. And send us your thoughts, send us your opinions. If you've reviewed us on Spotify or Apple, let us know, and we will send you a sticker and possibly a sweet little note. We've got a list going of ones that need to go out pretty soon, which is great. And then We're on Instagram. Y'all know, TikTok, everywhere. I don't even need to say it this episode. Y'all are here.
It's where social media is available, we are available.
Yeah, we're there somewhere. Just like I don't know, is that Batman who's always looking? Someone's always Princess Bubblegum who's always looking. We're on
Princess Bubblegum who's always looking.
Yeah, social media platform always. But yeah, thank y'all so much for joining us. Ned, do you have anything you want to say to the listeners before we go? I always wrap up. I figured you should say something sweet to the listeners.
I like our listeners, man. And I was telling Russell, man, I was excited for this episode. I love getting deep and wrapping up this season. I'm so literally starting the show with you, and we are at the point now where I was getting excited. I was like, oh, I'll be excited. I'll be really pumped when we start to get to this point in the show. We're at this point in the show. It's super fun. So if y'all have been fans, it's gonna get better. It's legit. Our stuff and the show itself is gonna get better.
Well, okay. Stop by anytime, but call first. Party forever.
I looked good.